You spent 3 days preparing, researched the company, ironed your outfit, rehearsed your answers at 1 a.m. And then you walk into that interview room and something happens that has nothing to do with your qualifications. Something that makes your skin crawl. Here's what you need to know, and more importantly, what you need to do. It's more common than anyone admits. Here's the number that should stop you cold. Nearly 82% of women and 42% of men have experienced sexual harassment in their lifetime. Let that sink in. We're not talking about edge cases or dramatic Hollywood storylines. We're talking about your colleague sitting next to you, your friend who just got a new job, maybe even you. And while most people think harassment only kicks in once you're hired, the truth is it starts way earlier. Some employers abuse job applicants' economic needs and commitment to their career, using job interviews as opportunities to harass or proposition applicants. The interview room isn't a safe zone. For a lot of people, it's where the nightmare begins. The power gap between the person holding the job offer and the person desperately wanting it, that's exactly the kind of gap predators look for. Knowing the scale of this problem is step one, because you can't fight something you've been taught to pretend doesn't exist. Recognize it. This is where most people get tripped up, so pay close attention. Harassment during an interview doesn't always look like a hand on your knee or a disgusting comment. Sometimes it's subtle enough that you walk out second-guessing yourself, wondering if you imagined it. Forms of harassment during an interview can include leering, making sexual gestures, graphic statements about a person's body, or asking questions about the applicant's gender, sexual preferences, or sexual orientation. That last one is crucial. In California, employers can only ask questions that will help determine whether a person is qualified for the job. If someone's asking about your relationship status, your dating life, or making comments about how you look while deciding your professional fate, that's not small talk. That's harassment. The gut feeling you get, that's data. Trust it. Understand the quid pro quo, the most vicious version. Here's a term you need to tattoo into your memory. Quid pro quo, Latin for something for something. And in an interview context, it's exactly as ugly as it sounds. If you go on a job interview and the person interviewing you offers you a job if you agree to do something sexual for them, or refuses to give you the job because you won't agree to their demands, that is quid pro quo sexual harassment. Picture this scenario. You're the strongest candidate, you've nailed every question, and then the interviewer casually suggests dinner after, puts a hand on your leg, and hints that the decision might depend on how well you two get along. Victims often experience emotional distress, anxiety, and a compromised sense of professional security and trust that affects them deeply for years to come. This isn't just inappropriate behavior, it's a crime to dress casually. Your legal shield, you have one, even before you're hired. Most people don't know this, and it costs them everything. You do not have to be an employee to be protected. Both state and federal law protect job applicants from sexual harassment by prohibiting employers from discriminating against prospective employees based on their gender. Specifically, Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 provides broad protections for employees and job applicants against sexual harassment during the hiring process. An employer is prohibited from requesting sexual favors, making derogatory comments, or engaging in other verbal or physical conduct of a sexually harassing nature. This means the legal clock starts during the interview, not after you sign a contract. You should be considered for a position based on your merit and experience, not based on the boss's attraction to you or your willingness to put up with their illegal behavior. The law has your back. The question is whether you know it well enough to use it. In the moment, what to actually do when it's happening. Nobody prepares you for the freeze that hits when it happens in real time. Your brain goes blank, your heart races, and every professional instinct tells you to smile through it and get out safely. But here's how to handle it with power, not panic. First, you can state clearly and calmly, "I'm not comfortable with that question," or "I'd prefer to keep this conversation focused on the role." You don't owe anyone an explanation. You can politely refuse and then observe whether the job offer is still extended, because if it suddenly evaporates, that's critical evidence. If you need to, end the interview. Stand up, say something like, "I don't think this is the right fit," and walk out. Your safety and dignity come before any job offer. And the moment you leave that building, find a quiet spot and write down every single detail. Exact words, time, location, who was present. That note you write right now is potential legal gold later. Document everything like a lawyer. You might not be planning to sue anyone right now. That's fine. But the way you handle the next 48 hours could be the difference between justice and silence. Write down all the details you can remember. Be as specific as possible about dates, places, times, and what was said or done physically. Text a trusted friend immediately after. Email yourself a detailed account. Why? Because memories about conversations do change, but words on paper or in an email do not. Keep a record of every exchange, messages, emails, any written communication from the company before or after the interview. And critically, tell someone you trust. Telling others about the harassment not only gives you much-needed support, but it can also become important evidence later. Documentation isn't paranoia, it's protection. Report it even if your voice is shaking. Here's the hardest part for most people, actually reporting it. And the stats on why people stay silent are heartbreaking. Only 25% of women feel comfortable reporting incidents to their employers, leading many to suppress their experiences, which often results in leaving their jobs entirely. But here's what you need to hear. Reporting isn't just for you, it's for the next person who walks into that same interview room. You can report discrimination to the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, EEOC, using their public portal. But be aware that in most cases you must file a charge within 180 days of the discriminatory act. If you're a federal employee or applicant, you must report to the EEO office at the agency where it happened within 45 calendar days. That time limit isn't a suggestion, it's a deadline. Move fast and don't let anyone talk you out of your right to be heard.
The psychological aftermath. Don't ignore this part. People talk about the legal side, but skip this one completely. And they shouldn't. Being harassed in an interview doesn't just cost you a job opportunity. It can cause applicants to doubt their qualifications, fear future interviews, experience PTSD, or abandon their job search altogether.
That's real damage to real lives. 50% of women who experience sexual harassment report negative impacts on their careers, and 46% have changed jobs because of it. If this happened to you, talk to someone, a therapist, a counselor, a support line. What you experienced was not your fault. It was not a reflection of your worth, and it absolutely was not something you had to handle better. The only person who did something wrong was the person across that desk who chose to weaponize their power. You walked in, prepared and qualified. That's what defines you, not what someone else chose to do.